Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So once again, the Cruiserweight division delivers an absolutely brilliant fight, this time between Mairis Briedis and Opetaia. This was an absolutely brilliant fight, a fight in which I was absorbed by from start to finish. And it was Opetaia who upset Mairis Briedis to become the new IBF Cruiserweight Champion of the world. What a fight and what a way to become a world champion. Now, this fight was a fight of two halves in every sense of the word. Early on in this fight, Opetaia, out of that southpaw stance, was boxing a brilliant fight. In the very first round, he was dictating the lead hand control, and he was leading with some really good straight left hands, which were really well disguised. Early on in this fight, Opetaia's straight punches had very little tell on them. They were very, very sneaky, very well hidden. And yeah, first round was your typical feeling out round. Briedis was, taking a look at Opetaia, whereas Opetaia, in my opinion, was more active. He landed a couple of good straight left hands to body and head. And for me, he won the first round. Round two, he boxed really well. Briedis tried to apply some pressure. He got a couple of scuffing shots up close on Opetaia, but nothing too clean. Whereas Opetaia was boxing well behind that jab. He was both leading and countering very effectively. At this point in round two, he started to introduce that check right hook out of that southpaw stance, and he was catching Briedis with that shot as Briedis would try to lunge in, and that was a theme throughout the first half of this fight. Briedis was a little bit desperate in regards to getting his attacks off, and as a result he was lunging, and he was getting countered effectively by Opetaia. Round two to me was a clear Opetaia round. Round three was actually quite competitive. Briedis once again upped his work rate in round three, upped his aggression, got some good body shots off in the third round early on. Opetaia came back, started to box really well. He himself started to concentrate on the body a little bit more on Briedis. So round three was actually very close, but I scored it to Briedis because he finished the round really strongly. He landed a series of, well, I say a series, he landed like 4 decent clubbing right hands at the end of the third round, and I felt that won him round three. Rounds 4, 5 and 6, however, Opetaia completely outboxed Mairis Briedis, and he was low-key beating him up at times. As the rounds went on, Briedis' face started to show the signs of damage due to Opetaia's accurate straight punches in particular. His nose was leaking, his lip was busted, his eyes were getting marked up as well. There was a lot of blood coming from Mairis Briedis, and I wonder whether he broke his nose in these rounds. But Opetaia was boxing beautifully. Again, in particular, when he was leading with that straight left hand, landing great shots to body and head. He was countering Briedis very effectively. As I said, at this point in time, Briedis was getting a bit desperate. He was lunging in, and as a result, Opetaia was taking advantage of that. And, it was funny because I wondered at this point whether this would just be a complete schooling in favour of Opetaia because, in rounds 4, 5 and 6, I felt Briedis, his body language gave me the impression that he was starting to look sorry for himself. I guess I would say he wasn't having much success really. He landed the odd shot here and there, but anything to write home about. He never really got a foothold in this fight in the first 6 rounds. So after 6, Opetaia was well ahead on my scorecard. I had it 5-1, but I think you could have easily scored round 3 to Opetaia, so maybe even 6 rounds to 0. But after the 6th round, Briedis had a little bit of success in round 7. Once again, Opetaia was boxing well. Out of that southpaw stance, working the body, straight punches as well, that sort of thing. But in round 7, Opetaia got caught slipping. He kind of came in like a almost like a Philly shell type of stance, and Briedis landed a vicious overhand right, bang on the chin, which momentarily buzzed Jay Opetaia. He wasn't badly hurt, but you could tell he felt the shot. It was a monster shot, and that shot to me proved that Opetaia had some type of chin. You know, it was a really big shot that would have caused a lot of damage on other cruiserweights, and I wondered whether this would be the time where Briedis would get back into the fight. Though round 8, I actually felt Opetaia had a really good round. You know, he was moving laterally in round 8 towards his right, moving away from Briedis' right. So that shot wasn't a factor in round 8. And yeah, Opetaia was just boxing well with those straight punches, mixing things up occasionally, getting in and out, maintaining range, which is what he was doing in the first 6 rounds, you know. Early on in this fight, in the first half, he did a really good job of evading Briedis' right hand by circling to his right. But in round 9, man, Briedis started to get to Opetaia. Opetaia's legs started to slow down, and crucially, he wasn't circling to his right as much, which gave Briedis the chance to land that overhand right of his, which he was doing. And yeah, in round 9 onwards, Briedis basically made this a bit of a street fight, and he looked like the stronger man down the stretch. You know, he was starting to land some good clubbing shots up close, starting to rough up Jay Opetaia. So round 9, I felt Briedis clearly won, and I felt Briedis won all of the rounds from round 9 onwards, to be honest. Round 10 and 11 were huge rounds for Mairis Briedis. This was when he got his right uppercut into play, and he landed that shot several times from round 10 to round 12, and he hurt Jay Opetaia several times with that shot. At this point in time in the fight, Briedis was essentially mauling Opetaia, whereas Opetaia was trying to box and move at times, but his movement wasn't what it was early in the fight, so he couldn't really get away from Briedis. And yeah, Briedis was landing some really good uppercuts in rounds 10 and 11, and in round 11, Briedis' uppercuts caused severe damage on Jay Opetaia's jaw. His jaw was badly swollen, he was bleeding from the mouth. I'm not a doctor, but to me that looked like a broken jaw, and Opetaia in the last sort of 3 rounds looked in some distress. But, you know, he showed in this fight that he had a very good chin. And round 12, you know, Briedis tried to let it all hang out. There was a couple of good exchanges in round 12. Opetaia tried to fire back. He actually caught Briedis with some good counterhooks in the exchanges, but once again in round 12, I felt Briedis did the better work. He was more active, and he landed the more damaging shots. It was a case in, you know, like I said earlier, it was a fight of 2 halves, but ultimately I felt it was a fight that Briedis just left it a little too late, and I felt that Jay Opetaia was the rightful winner of this fight. Quite frankly, I guess I would have had it 7 rounds to 5 kind of thing. It's one of those fights where, because Jay Opetaia started so well, I think people are going to think that he won a lot wider than he actually did. But at the end of a fight, I saw it as a close fight, but a fight in which Jay Opetaia definitely won. But it was a very good fight, man. Really, really good fight. It's good to have some fresh blood in the cruiserweight division. Mairis Briedis has been a great champion, long-standing champion, fought the very best in the cruiserweight division, but I felt he was pipped in this one. He left it too late. Late on, he was having some great success, but he just left it too late, in my opinion. But again, if he wants to continue, I'd still like to see him fight again, quite frankly. As for Jay Opetaia, well, he's introduced himself to the cruiserweight division, and yeah, I mean, there's some big fights out there for him as well. I believe Eddie Hearn wants to start promoting in Australia. Maybe they could make Jay Opetaia versus Lawrence Okolie. I think that would be a great fight. I'd love to see that fight happen, though it is worth saying that Lawrence Okolie's contract situation right now appears to be up in the air. There's also fights with the likes of Ilunga Makabu, who I believe Opetaia would beat, and of course Arslan Gulamarian, who I also would pick Jay Opetaia to beat. So yeah, I was impressed with Opetaia, all things considered. Yes, he got beat up in the last 4 rounds. Yes, he finished quite badly. But this was a huge, huge step up in comparison to what he's done previously. And, you know, at 27 years old, there's a lot of room for improvement when it comes to Jay Opetaia, because his skill set, his boxing ability, particularly on the outside, is actually very good. He's got some really nice skills on the outside. Nice movement, nice straight punches, nice counters, respectable enough power. He actually hurt Briedis a few times early on with looping shots to the body. So, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what Jay Opetaia does next. But anyway, what about you guys? How did you see this fight? Share your thoughts below. Beanie Guy Del Boy. Peace.